Everyone told her a 210-pound Mastiff was too much dog for a young woman living alone in a city she knew no one. A drooling, food-stealing, 210-pound goofball who could barely fit through a doorway and had never done a single useful thing in his life. Get a normal dog, they said, or better yet, a roommate. What none of them understood was that Chloe Bennet was lonelier than she had ever admitted to anyone. 22 different people told her that adopting that giant clown was a mistake. And then, on a night she fell and was knocked out cold on her own floor, alone, with no one in the world who would think to check on her, the useless goofball everyone had laughed at did the one thing that saved her life. This is the story of how the biggest joke of a dog anyone had ever seen became the reason a young woman is still here today. Chloe Bennet was 24 years old and had moved to Austin, Texas 8 months earlier for her first real job, 1,000 miles from everyone she loved. She had pictured a new adventure. What she got was an empty apartment, coworkers who already had their own lives, and a silence that met her at the door every night. She was too proud to tell her mom how hard it was. She just knew that she came home to nothing, ate dinner alone, and went to bed in a place that never once felt like home. She had told herself the loneliness was temporary, that she would make friends. It did not get easier. Weekends were the worst, long and silent, spent scrolling her phone while everyone else's lives happened somewhere else. She was 24 and successful on paper and quietly, deeply unhappy, and she had gotten good at hiding it from everyone, including herself. She was not looking for a Mastiff. She was scrolling the shelter's page at midnight, the way lonely people do, when she saw him. A 210-pound English Mastiff with a face like a melted candle and eyes like a sad old man, surrendered by a family who said he was too big, ate too much, and knocked their kids over. Nobody was lining up for a dog that size. Chloe drove out the next morning just to look. She did not walk out just looking. She named him Otis, and everyone she knew told her she had lost her mind. Her mother said a 210-pound dog would eat her out of her paycheck. Her one work friend said a woman living alone should get a real guard dog, not a giant drooling couch cushion. A neighbor took one look at the size of him and asked if she was running a petting zoo. 22 people, if you counted them all, told Chloe that Otis was a mistake she could not afford. But here's what none of them understood. That ridiculous dog saved her life long before the night everyone talks about. Because Otis was, without question, the single goofiest animal ever born. Otis drooled in ropes that could reach the ceiling. He sat on Chloe like she was a piece of furniture. Otis was terrified of the vacuum, the mailman, and his own reflection, and he once knocked himself out cold walking into a glass door. He stole food with zero shame, and one afternoon in the car, he plunged his entire wrinkled face into Chloe's iced coffee and came up wearing the whipped cream like a beard, looking deeply proud of himself while she laughed so hard she cried, the first real laugh in months. Otis was not a guard dog, he was a 210-pound clown, and slowly, without her even noticing it happen, that clown filled every empty corner of that lonely apartment until it finally, at last, felt like a home. I know you are still watching but have not subscribed yet, and after a dog like Otis, that stings a little. Tap subscribe. Everyone laughed at this one, and subscribing is how the world finds out what he really was. Chloe was not lonely anymore. How could she be with 210 pounds of drooling devotion following her from room to room, waiting by the door when she got home, flopping his enormous head into her lap the second she sat down? She started talking to him like a person. She started laughing again. She sent her mom videos of his ridiculous antics instead of pretending everything was fine. And for the first time since she had moved, the silence was gone, chased out of the apartment by a dog who snored like a chainsaw and loved her with every ounce of his enormous, goofy heart. Otis had a whole repertoire of nonsense. He carried a single sock around the apartment for hours like a prized possession. He was convinced he was a lapdog and would climb into Chloe's lap one enormous limb at a time until 210 pounds of Mastiff was balanced on a woman half his weight. Chloe started documenting all of it, and her family back home became obsessed, texting to ask what Otis had done now. Everyone who met Otis laughed at him. Otis tripped over his own feet. He was scared of the toaster. He would flop onto his back and wave his giant paws in the air, waiting for belly rubs from anyone who walked in. Not exactly the fearsome protector a woman living alone was supposed to have, and Chloe's friends never let her forget it. She did not care. Otis was not there to protect her, she thought. He was there to keep her company. She had no idea that underneath all that goofiness, that dog was paying closer attention than anyone knew. Then came a cold night in November. Chloe was carrying a laundry basket down the short flight of stairs in her apartment when her foot caught the edge of a step. She pitched forward, the basket flew, and she came down hard, the back of her head cracking against the bottom stair with a sound that Otis heard from the next room. And then Chloe did not move. She was out cold at the bottom of her own staircase, alone in an apartment in a city where not one single person was going to knock on her door or wonder where she was. It was a weeknight. Her phone was up on the kitchen counter, impossibly far away. If she stayed there, unconscious, bleeding through the night, the ending of this story would have been a very different one. The same dog everyone had called a useless goofball, the same dog 22 people had said was a mistake, the same 210-pound Mastiff who was scared of the toaster and had never done a serious thing in his life, understood in an instant that something was terribly wrong, and the clown vanished. What was left was 210 pounds of pure, desperate purpose. Otis went to the door and he lost his mind. Otis did not bark like a dog who wanted to go out. He threw his entire 210-pound body against that apartment door again and again, and he howled, a deep, enormous, panicked sound that filled the whole building. And he would not stop, not for anything, refusing to leave that door, hammering it with everything he had. This was not the scared, silly dog who ran from the vacuum. This was something certain that lived underneath all the goofiness, a devotion that had exactly one goal: to make someone, anyone, come and help his person. And he was not going to stop until they did. In the apartment next door, a man named Frank, who had never once heard that quiet dog make a sound, got up cursing to see what the commotion was. And when he opened his door and saw the giant Mastiff frantic in the hallway, howling and slamming, and then running back toward the stairs and back to the door, Frank knew, the way you just know, that something was wrong. He looked through Chloe's window, he saw her crumpled at the bottom of the stairs, and he called 911. The paramedics said if she had been found even a few hours later, a head injury like that, untreated through a whole night alone, could have been fatal. The only reason anyone came, the only reason Frank ever got out of his chair, was a 210-pound goofball who threw himself at a door until the whole world had to pay attention. And Chloe knew, waking up in that hospital with a concussion and a very good outcome, with a certainty she will carry for the rest of her life, that if she had listened to those 22 people, if she had never taken home the ridiculous dog nobody wanted, she would have been alone on that floor with no one on earth to know. Instead, she had Otis. Word spread through that building and back home the way news like that always does. The neighbor Frank became her friend for life. The work friend who had called Otis a drooling couch cushion came to visit him in something close to awe. Chloe's mother, who had said a dog that size would ruin her, flew down and got on the floor and wrapped her arms around 210 pounds of Mastiff and cried, thanking the goofball for her daughter's life. Today, Otis is 5 years old, and he is exactly as ridiculous as he ever was. Otis still drools on everything. He is still scared of the toaster. Otis still steals Chloe's coffee every single chance he gets. But Chloe does not come home to silence anymore, and she never worries about being alone in that apartment, because 210 pounds of the goofiest dog alive is always there, snoring like a chainsaw, one ear somehow still listening. And the 22 people who swore he was a useless mistake have all gone very quiet, because here is the simple truth every one of them missed. A dog does not have to be fierce or serious or impressive to be exactly what you need. What makes a dog is who he decides to love and exactly what he is willing to do when it finally matters. Otis was a clown every single day of his life, right up until the one night his person needed a hero, and then the biggest joke of a dog anyone had ever seen became the only thing standing between her and the worst ending there is. If you were thinking about adopting a dog, especially one of the big, ridiculous ones nobody else wants, the ones that are too much and too goofy and too large, please do not listen to the fear. Go and meet him. The dog the world laughs at is so often the one who loves the hardest and shows up when it counts and asks for nothing but a place on your couch and a face in your coffee. Because Chloe did not just rescue Otis from that shelter. If you ask her, she will tell you, laughing and crying at the same time, that a goofy giant rescued her right back, first from being lonely and then from something far worse. So let me ask you honestly, would you have taken home a 210-pound Mastiff that 22 people swore was a useless mistake? Or would you have listened to them and let him go? Tell me in the comments. And if a big, goofy dog everyone laughed at turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to you, say their name below so the next person hesitating knows what these dogs are really worth.